ultimately, my deepest fear is dying without a family. What if your absence becomes normal and your presence becomes an intrusion? You're so afraid of being hurt. You're so afraid of love. You're so afraid of love because of how you've had your heart broken, that by nature of that level of fear, you are by default blocking it from receiving. So you cannot receive love. If you had a month to live, what would you do? Pride is men's biggest battle. The belief that being a lone wolf is going to get them where they want to be. Men need men. Being a lone wolf is the biggest trap.
What did you have to leave behind to step into an even deeper level of authentic expression?
And I asked the question, what does freedom mean to me? And it came to me like that.
How are you feeling today though? You good?
Yeah, good mate, excited. I feel like I'm on the other side of a time, being patient in a time gap.
In what way?
Doing the work, sowing the seeds, or like doing the farming for like hard work. And I feel I'm on the precipice of it realizing again, which is nice feeling again.
Yeah, because you've had so much going on at the minute, with just, engagement and then your new business offer. And then obviously the Brotherhood, which is just running, is doing its thing, which is showing up to like week in, week out. Yeah, like what is your driver to all of that?
So it's interesting because I've been reflecting on this a lot recently, and I think it's easy to lose sight sometimes of why you're doing the things. And I think especially as men, we get so caught in the moment and hustling and doing the work. But ultimately, I think for me, and I've reconnected with my core value of family recently. Obviously, I've recently got engaged, which has been a big part of that. But the core driver for me, and it's one like being able to walk home, being able to walk through the door every day, like proud of my work ethic and proud of what I've gone and created into the world to come home to my family, is a big driver for me, I think, and to create the freedom, not only for myself, but so my family never need to worry. Obviously, I haven't got any children right now, but I consider my partnership my family. And to really create that space so when they come, it's going to be a safe, harmonious place. I can be present because I've built the systems and built the business now, so I can switch off from work and be grounded, be present with them and spend that quality time with them as they kind of grow up, and build a harmonious family based on the freedom that we get to do whatever the fuck we want, basically.
Yeah. Man, that's so important. Like, and that's a big responsibility too, right? As that, masculine man role, which, you've stepped into, which I believe like that's what we're here for, right? To protect, to provide, when you step into that space. Do you feel like a pressure with it? Or for you, is it like, just, I know internally, like this is,
I think there's a burden that comes with it, absolutely. And there's definitely responsibility, and it can be very heavy at times. But the way I see it is that this is what we're wired to do. This is what the man's role, and I have traditional values on this, the man's role is to protect, provide for the family. And that comes with the responsibility of being a man. Women have their responsibilities. Our responsibility, I believe, is to take that burden, but become the man who can carry it. And I think that's the driving force for a lot of guys and myself, of the becoming process, to be the man that can handle that pressure. And the nervous system can handle it. Your mentality can handle it. Your all of the things around you, you've just got it on check. And you know that you've become the person to do that, because you can't just handle it. You have to go through trials and tribulations and transformations to become the version of yourself who can hold that. And I think that's a core driver as well. And that's the game, right? I think if we look at the infinite game of life and business, I think they go hand in hand. It's never finished. There's always going to be the next mountain to climb, but who do you become on the climb? And reflecting on that and enjoying that process, and having the awareness or kind of perspective of this is for me, not to me. So like Ryan Holiday wrote the book, The Obstacle is the Way. Really good book for me. And I read that at a specific time in my life. I had it there because I knew I was going to need it at some point. And it was when I got asked to leave Australia. Like my visa came up and like this life I'd built, it was like, right, you've got to leave. And I just went like, walked out the office and walked up and down Bondi Beach like for 4 hours listening to this book because I was like, the obstacle is the way. How do I reframe what is in front of me right now as the best thing that could possibly be for me, even though every single person around me is going, oh my God, are you okay? Poor you, what are you going to do? And it's like, well, this is the path. This is it. So I've got to deal with it. I either tackle it with courage, trust, faith, commitment, or I face it with fear because I can't avoid it. So I either face it with fear, worry, doubt, poor me, victim mindset, or I just grab it by the balls and say, right, what is this teaching me right now? And I think that's been an amazing process for me and a perspective I've gained through the transformation I've been through because it plays itself out all the time forever and it was always going to be, right? So I think that's going to be one of the things that I take from that because I know that whatever is in front of me right now, on the other side of that, I'm going to be better. I'm going to have more capacity. I'm going to be able to hold. I'm going to be able to provide. I'm going to be able to show up. I'm going to be calmer. I'm going to be more capable of handling the next thing. So I think that's a really good perspective that I've kind of cultivated over the course of the last like 7 years since I've been doing this work.
Yeah, epic. And like that becoming process, obstacle is the way. I'm curious, like for you before, what like these more traditional values of, you know, the man who's protecting, providing, showing up for his family, you know, has that always been ingrained with you, or what obstacles did you have to overcome to get to the place where, you know, I can feel it inside of how you show up, bro, like the way that you show up for the brotherhood and the way you speak and the way you show up in the world, that you really hold and cultivate that energy. But has it always been like that, or has it been a learned process?
Well, put it this way, like I grew up, I never knew my granddad. My granddad was the seventh son of a seventh son, built a family of about 40 people. Like my nan, I got about 30, 40 cousins, so massive family on my mum's side. And his values were always distilled down to me through my mum, even though I never met him or I was too young to remember. Always traditional values of what a man needs to be. But then as a young man growing up in society, I look back and I call myself a simp because I was the guy who's like, oh, poor me, like, and I'd like pay 50-50 for the bill and be like, oh no, you need to do this. And it was the societal conditioning that I grew up in and the people around me where I fell into the other side of that, where I wasn't a man who could take care of himself. I wasn't a guy who could take care of his body. I was just a party animal that didn't really care, but had these wounded relationships with the feminine and my own masculinity, which caused tons of problems for me, which caused a lot of insecurities, a lot of fears, worries, doubts, and internal kind of negative thoughts and emotions because I bought into that narrative. And it wasn't until I kind of, because I was like the guy, I was like, right, I want to move to Bali. It was 3 years when I made that commitment to actually be able to get here. Like I moved, quit my job twice. Had to leave Australia because I was living in Australia for 5 years. Go back to UK, started to have to work with my brother in construction. And I was like, right, I'm back at square one. It wasn't until I got to Bali that I had the space to work on it because I was like, no, this is my goal. If I have a woman, she's going to take it away from me. I'm going to lose myself in the process because I'd lost myself in the process before by bending and giving and appeasing out of my own insecurities of not being enough as I am. And then when I got to Bali, I was very intentional about doing the work. And that's the gift about personal development, right? You can go into the area of your life that you need to work on. And for me, that was relationships. Went into like red pill and learning all around hypergamy and all of the kind of narratives around what women find attractive. And the mirror of all of that was like, hang on, just be the fucking guy that you want to be. It's not about chasing things. It's around becoming the version of yourself who, like, if you become the king, when your queen arrives, she will see you as a king. Right? And it's that mentality. And I really took responsibility of that. And I was like, whoa, all of the narratives, the way I behaved and the ideology that I had was so twisted that I reflect back and understand why my relationships failed, why I was the way I was, because I wasn't who I need to be from a biological standpoint and an energetic standpoint to be an attractive man to command, or not command, but to attract the person that he wanted in his life without bending, without feeling fear, without feeling inadequate, without giving up my own goals and dreams or my own self-worth to appease or get validation from someone. So it's really been through like me living in that life for so long, and the envy and jealousy that I had of like, why do I not figure this out? And then having the space to figure it out, and then realizing it was always me in the process.
Yeah.
It was always me.
Yeah.
And I reflect back with compassion, love and compassion with that. But then it was about, after doing that work, it was like 7 weeks later, I met my fiance. She came in, boom, and it's been fireworks ever since. But it was like, hang on, this, how I am right now, is the exact reason why I'm not getting what I want. And it starts with taking responsibility of who I am, how I show up, my actions, my thoughts, my traumas, my triggers, my emotions, to actually become the version of myself to get what I wanted to get.
I really resonate, bro. Like I very much resonate with the fact of who am I? Like, who am I embodying? How am I showing up? And I resonate with the fact that from my own personal journey, that especially in relationships, I would appease and think like, oh, I just needed to make the woman happy, and and it would all be well. And it just wasn't the case. But I realized that my triggers and my wounds under that was the fact that my nervous system actually just couldn't handle it. It couldn't handle the fact that if I communicated, I wouldn't want to communicate. I would shut it down, because I was like, if I actually communicate my true fear and set like a boundary, which I knew I needed to, but I wouldn't, because I was like, hey, if I communicate this and I get some reaction, I can't handle the emotion. So then if I couldn't handle the emotion, then I would just shut down. So that wasn't safe. So then like I went through that whole journey of like, right, I actually need to work on my nervous system here and like start to actually integrate all the parts of myself. I'm wondering, what work was it that you had to do in order to then attract your dream woman, your fiance 7 weeks later?
It's just doing the work, man. There was a lot of reading, a lot of listening, a lot of journaling on it. But then I also done like shamanic healing, because a big thing for me, and you might resonate with this, was my body image. So I had like really terrible body image every time. Like I went through a transformation once from 112 kgs. I was always a big guy. I was always fat shamed as a joke, but it was always relatively true in some sense, because I was on the books of professional football and professional cricket. So I was an athlete, but I was still carrying weight. And I got released from the football because I was not agile enough. I was a big guy, not super big, but then when I got released, that became true for me. And then that carried out into my story of coming through all of this. And then going through that process of like really understanding why I was triggered and what my insecurities was. And a lot of it was around my body image, that I felt overweight, I felt fat. Even though the world would not say that, at times I felt it. So I had to really do work on ultimately loving myself. Ultimately self-love. I've done some shamanic healing, and she done this like energy cord cutting within my belly. And breathwork was a big one, massive one. I met my partner, and our first date, the following day, was 9D breathwork at the Astana. So those who ever know the Astana, it's a beautiful place. With Brian Kelly. And my intention was to open my heart to love. And I went through an amazing experience. It was the first time I cried, like properly, in about 10 years probably. Like really not crying. I was like, I shouldn't cry. It was like, I'm just going to let myself cry like a baby here. And I fully let things out. I've like, all of my exes came into my kind of awareness and forgave them, and like found self-love. And it was a massive breakthrough process. And then off the back of that, I'd done I went psilocybin therapy. It was like 9 hours. Very, very intense. I went in there about money. And basically she told me that I was running away from love, because I was considering going home. And she basically said to me one of the most profound things I've ever been told. She said, Ryan, you're so afraid of being hurt. You're so afraid of love. out of fear. You're so afraid. So you're so afraid of love because of how you've had your heart broken, that by nature of that level of fear, you are by default blocking it from receiving. So you cannot receive love, because if you look at like a pendulum of like fear and love, and we're in the middle, for you to experience that, you have to be willing to experience the equal and opposite of pain. But because I was so unwilling to be hurt and experience pain, I was unwilling, automatically blocking myself from love. And basically I came out of that, and she asked me, if you had a month to live, what would you do? And it came to me like that, I'd spend it with D. I was like, wow, that was interesting. I didn't expect that to come out of my mouth. And then in that moment, and then after that, I basically gave her, I was like, right, called her up after, I was like, I'm all in. And I gave her my heart, basically. And I gave her that ability to break my heart again and experience the pain that I was avoiding, and my conscious thoughts, oh, I need to go home and do all of this stuff. When the real unconscious program was like, whoa, you're getting too close here. You need to figure, we need to tell you something to go home or leave, because it's becoming too real for you now. And I've done that, called her up, I was like, I'm all in. And then been beautiful ever since. Had my heart open wide, ready to break. And it's only been the most beautiful relationship I could ever ask for. It's been difficult and challenging and beautiful conflicts that we've had, but we've got a beautiful relationship. And it's through my willingness to do my work on myself, go into the depths of my own soul, to really look at that, love myself fully, but also be available and willing to experience heartbreak again, that allow me to receive the love. And I think a lot of guys will be, a lot of people, right? They've been heartbroken, and that pain is too much to do it again. So they're guarded and they don't fully allow themselves to go into that space. So I look back with so much gratitude on that, because it was like doing the work, aware, called her in, then done more work and more work and more work and more work. And we've done lots of work together. And it's been a very continued journey of, we're still doing work every day. We talk about everything. We try and communicate. I struggle to communicate my emotions. And I remember I broke down in tears once because my nervous system is shaking. I was like, I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to tell you what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. And she held me and just let me, basically just like, let me not have to say the words, but feel it. And I was like, wow. So it's, the way I like to look at it is like, as men specifically, and when we have a woman, all she will ever do is invite us into deepening into our masculinity, deepening into our power, and will open the door for you to step in. And it's your choice whether you lean in or lean out, and move through that. So hope that answers your question, mate. And I went off on a bit of tangent there.
Oh, mate, for sure. It's so interesting. And the fact that, just men doing the work, just like women doing the work, it's so important to have like a conscious relationship where two come together. Like that's the beauty. Like I'm so curious with like your personal nervous system. What have you learned about your patterns that you've had with your nervous system? I feel relationships are like the greatest mirror, right?
100%, man, 100%. Yeah. I think not being enough was a big one for me. And how that would show up is that any indication of it not being good enough or not enough, and I would immediately take that in and immediately respond with anger and frustration and resentment. When all it was females just expressing of like, I want more, because that's what they do. But I took it as, you're saying that I'm not good enough. Boom. And I'd flip and I'd shout and I wouldn't be able to control myself. And something that I got mirrored back to me is that I had repressed anger, because anger was not a emotion that was safe to express as a child and was modeled to me as violence, danger. So didn't learn how to express that. Through breathwork has been a big thing, but more so recently, it's been this constant drive of performance. Like, I need to be moving, I need to be in survival in order to succeed, and creating scenarios why that safe space for me is being unsafe in my nervous system, and putting myself in situations when there's almost, fuck, I have to move now. And then, so the big thing that I'm learning at the moment is how to deeply create safety within myself and within my nervous system. That's something I'm tackling right now, like very recently. and learning how to slow down and create space and create presence, because I can fall into patterns of hyper performance, perform, sprint, burnout, sprint, burnout, get home, doom scroll, like have no emotional capacity to hold myself and my partner, because I'm just exhausting myself with this underlying motor of I need to perform. Because if I don't perform, I'm not good enough. So that's something like I'm still learning. I learned it fucking 2 years ago, but I'm still learning it right now. But again, there's levels to it, right? Way better than I used to be, but it's still things that we need to work on still. So
what comes up for you when to think about just being present and without performing?
Lazy,
right?
That was a label that I got given as a child, as a young man. And it was like from parent, from my dad, from friends. And it's just so interesting, right? Around like how our childhood affects where we're at now. And it's like, if I stop or slow down, then I am lazy. And if I'm lazy, then I'm not good enough. Versus flipping that of like rest and recovery is high performance. Right? Which is the thing I'm getting. So, when you like, I think we go through periods of our life when we get the same message from friends, from Instagram, from the YouTube, from people around us. And you get to a point like, oh shit, okay, I see that message now. So the thing for me now is associating, and again, it's just a rewiring process, associating rest and recovery with high performance, not me getting what I want is me working 12 hours a day and just hustling my face off and then burning myself out in the process. And letting my performance, my relationship, my business suffer because of this internal motor within me that says, if you don't perform, you're lazy and not good enough.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys have resonated with that.
Yeah, bro, for sure. And it is a rewiring. But it's like in simple terms, like say you're on a treadmill and it's like the treadmill was just going at like 20 kilometers an hour and you're sprinting.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time until you're like you're going to be falling off the back, right?
A friend of mine.
We do it in business.
A friend of mine gave a really good analogy for this as well. And he's like, let's say you got two people chopping trees. You got one person just going bang, 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 bang. Before long, his sword's going blunt, but he's still smashing the tree. Whereas the other guy will cut, will rest, will sharpen his sword, cut, rest, sharpen his sword. And like that visual representation of like the two different options that you can choose. Like, oh wow, that really, so sharpening your sword through rest and recovery is the thing that allows you to be high performing at a more sustainable rate and create more because of that process. So again, it's something I'm learning right now. But I think everybody, especially with high performers, people that are committed to transformation, committed to their change, committed to their goals, committed to their vision, their mission-led, their heart-led, they have an inexplicable soul calling to make an impact in the world. I think and they're saying around like with every curse there's a blessing, with every blessing there's a curse. The blessing is you have this beautiful thing within you that's inexplicable to 99% of the world. But then the other side of that is managing your nervous system and managing yourself and all the things you have, the baggage you come into that with, to make sure you can actually sustain that, actually turn that desire to serve and make an impact into real impact without burning yourself out in the process and eventually fading off. Because I've seen a lot of people, most people, because I've been in a coaching space 5 years now, most people end up this. They burn out, they try, and there's one failure too many, and they're like, right, I can't do this anymore. And then the few people that actually continue to do the work on themselves and not avoid doing the work, they're the people that actually sustain that and actually make that of real impact, and get the fruits of their labor afterwards as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the industry which I was in, it's like this hustle culture, especially from the UK, hustle culture, work. And yeah, for sure, it's easy to, attach a identity to that of like, right, I need to work hard to prove why I'm worth earning X amount. Yeah, like the more you steer into this world, you realize there's so many people who are able to live a fruitful life and like actually have a balance across like not just great business, but also there's way more to life than that, right? There's like, we've got our relationship too, which is, the top, you know, having like a intimate relationship that feels alive and passionate and full of life, like that just sprinkles out into the rest of what we're doing, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably like one of the drivers or one of my greatest fears. Ultimately, my deepest fear is dying without a family. Big one. It's at my core. It's always been at my core. And it's funny because like how that transpired in my relationship was that I would appease and I would do things because of that deep-rooted fear of like, I have this thing now and now I have to protect it at all costs, because underpinning all of that is my deepest fear. And now I have to hold on to that. But ultimately, what this, like, so many, you hear it so many times, is that, and this is what I help people with, a big part of my mission is around helping you achieve the success you want without sacrificing your time with loved ones or your freedom in the process. Because my two values are family and freedom, my highest values. So like success, money, wealth is going to allow them to live that, express those more fruitfully and to the expansion levels that I want to experience them, but they're not instead of. And I think sometimes there can be a skew, and you hear it so many times around men chasing success, monetary success. I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for my family. But then they lose their family in the process because they're so absent. And a brilliant kind of question was like, what if your absence becomes normal and your presence becomes an intrusion? It's like, ooh. Because that can become the reality for successful men in the pursuit of that. And that would be like worst nightmare for me. But then ultimately it's like, oh, who are you actually doing it for? Are you doing it for your family, or are you doing it for a part of you that's wounded that you say, once I've got this, I'm enough? Which is a big part of that. So doing the work now in the journey, yeah, it might be slower. You might not reach those peaks as quickly as what you would if you were operating from a place of deep wound of saying, fuck you, dad, I'm not good enough. I'll make money at all costs. I'll work 14-hour days. I'll manipulate people into taking their money. I'll do everything I can to stack cash because this figment of this mountaintop that I can get to, then I am enough, which only is the next mountain anyway, versus the other kind of person who does the work so he can actually experience his values in his highest form, as well as achieving the financial freedom, the time freedom that he wants. And like, I know for a fucking fact, I want to be in this camp that have all of that and not blindly chase something that isn't even mine because a part of me is wounded and I'm not willing to look at that because I don't have the courage to look within. I think that's a big part of kind of what we're doing at the Brotherhood as well. Giving people the space to actually explore what their core drivers are, why they're doing what they're doing, and create a help more. And I don't like the word balance. I like the word harmony. More harmony between work and life and work and relationships and business, money and business, and a harmony between all of these things. Because I don't think balance,
like interconnectedness between these.
I think standing there like juggling all these balls, I think it's a fool's errand trying to achieve that. But you can achieve harmony based on your relationship, what your needs are, what their needs are, what your needs are for your family, what your needs are for your business model, and how they're interconnected to achieve that dream lifestyle without that meaningful impact in business. I wake up every day inspired to do what I do because I deeply tied to my purpose. I'm aligned. I love it. It inspires me. I'm making an impact. It brings me deep levels of meaning. But then also in the process, creating the time, financial freedom in that without sacrificing these core values of mine, which is essentially why I'm doing it in the first place, which is so I can be a present partner, so I can have an experienced life with a beautiful soul that I'm beautifully connected with, and we get to experience that amazing presence and intimacy and passion, and then create a safe home and family unit to bring people into the world from a healed place and not a projected on giving them the stuff that we haven't worked on. And letting them struggle with that their whole life and their insecurities and the pain that we felt.
That's beautiful, bro. And yeah, like the pillar, like the Brotherhood and what you've created there is just epic. And I'm curious to dive into, like the different pillars that you see of like that you've run with the Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's something which, you know, I've run with clients is like from the 6 F's now. So like rather than just having like finance being like, right, I'm going to build this massive business and make money. And it's like actually having this balance across life. It's like fitness, family, finance, fun, focus, and then also faith. Because I believe like there's something greater at play, you know, so to actually have that connectedness with that. So like at the Brotherhood, what would be
those pillars.
Yeah.
We didn't have focus though.
Yeah,
and I like focus because
Yeah.
focus is the kind of caveat that ties all these things together, right? Because you can do all of them and be like, hang on, I haven't got anything I want. I'm not having the fun or making the money because I'm spreading my focuses off. But it absolutely is the 5 F's. It's family, finances, fun, faith, and what was the last one?
Fun.
So family, fun,
focus. Well, no, finance.
Family, fun, finance, faith, and fitness.
Yeah.
So they are our core pillars. And that was something I heard a while ago around those, because they speak to a more masculine kind of pillar structure, I believe. And that's it, man. I think what we've created at the Brotherhood is a grounded way of looking at men's work and giving men enough of a space to connect, enough of a space to go as deep as they want to go without being forced into depth. Because I feel like men are on their own journey. I remember the first men's group I went to, it was just at the right time. Like it couldn't have been any better timing of what I was navigating. I had a really heavy conflict with my partner at the time, and it was like, do we separate? Do we go our separate ways? And ultimately, I was banging my head against a brick wall because I was spending so much time with her, not with other men. And I basically had a conversation with these guys, and I was like, you know what? No, like I am absolutely believe in my stance. And I basically went back to her, and it was like, right, I am going to build a 7-figure business. There is going to be someone laying next to me. I want it to be you, but it's going to be someone, whether it's you or not. And I came back with so much fucking power from that conversation because I had other brothers around me saying, fuck yeah, man, stick to that, honor that. And I wasn't getting entangled with this, losing myself in that and the osmosis that happens when a man and a woman and the polarities mix of like, I needed to stay in this frame, but it was blurred because of I didn't have any other men around me that were anchored in that healthy masculine to be like, brother, you're bending here, but you need to stay in this. Because if you do that and you appease and you bend and you go into that, it's going to be fucked anyway. It's not going to work anyway because you're losing the thing that they actually need from you. And it's like what they say and what they want are two different things. And I was like, okay, good for me to understand that. So like that was my journey of like the importance of it. And sometimes you don't need to go deep, but sometimes you do need to experience the depth. And I think what we've created then is around speaking to the aspirations of becoming the man that they want, anchored in family values and speaking that way, but also giving guys the space to go in their own journey and explore in their own way without feeling like they need to be anyone other than themselves. And then that's the big thing for what my intention going into that space is. No matter who you are, what you've done, what guilts, what shames, what insecurities you carry, you will be accepted as the man that you are simply because you walk through the door. Simply because you had the courage to come and look yourself in the mirror. You might not know that's the reason why. Intuitively, you've got a pull. Intuitively, there's part of you that's curious. And I have a deep, deep trust in intuition. I have a deep trust in my intuition. I have a deep trust in my client's intuition. I have a deep trust in everyone around me that their intuition will guide them where they need to go on their specific journey. And if their intuition has pulled them through that front door on a Saturday morning, bro, anything that you need to express, I will receive. Because I know how fucking hard it is to actually cultivate that and all of the stories and limitations and projections and fears and worries and insecurities that stop so many men walking through that, even though in their heart they know they need it, but they don't have the courage yet to step in. Whether they come back, I'm not really bothered. right? The people that want it, people that need it will need it. People that don't resonate with it don't resonate. That's okay. We're not here to be liked. We're here to create the space for the men that need it most. And I think that intention that we've carried through is why it's been created the way it is, because it's not about us. It's about every single individual man that walks through the door, and allowing them to step into a space of collaboration, not competition, of love, not ego, of acceptance, not shame. And I think that's probably why the guys feel that safety in that, all right, this is different, because of the intention that we've carried in when we've been creating it. And it's because of what I need.
Yeah. You just help the person who's a few years behind. But yeah, to speak into that man who doesn't yet have the courage to step into a space like that, like what would you share to them? How can they cultivate that level of courage to actually even step into an environment like that? Because you have to have a level of vulnerability.
100%.
Like this vulnerability and courage.
What I think pride is men's biggest battle. I think the image of you, who you see yourself as, or the remnants of like all the stories you carry, which create the story of who you are and what way you act, and the judgments and shames and projections you would make around the people in your life, the people that might, oh, why is he going there? What's he doing at that? I think that pride can be the big thing that holds most people back. And I think that's one of the hardest things to transcend as a man. Because we're proud men, right? We pride ourselves on how we look, what we do, the money we make, and all of these things, that we don't need it. When I believe that you can feel it on a nervous system level and a deep soul level when you walk in and you feel what it's like to not have to wear a mask. Masks get heavy. They take their toll over time. And you either have a choice of wearing that mask until you really can't hold it anymore, or swallowing your pride, accepting that you might be lonely, accepting that you might need some guys around you, accepting that you might feel disconnected to the current environment you're in because your values have shifted, your intentions have shifted, your goals and visions. And that's absolutely okay, because we resonate with the people we resonate with. It's not a conscious thing. It's an energetic thing. So if you have feeling disconnected or lonely, whether you are on your own or whether you are surrounded by people but feeling lonelier than ever, that's an intuitive signal that maybe you need to find people you do connect on a deeper level with, people that are there to commit to their growth, people that are there to collaborate, not to compete, that are themselves, they're humble, they're grounded, they don't need to wear a mask. They're anchored in their own self-worth, knowing that they are enough as they are at the certain level that we're at. There's always levels to that. But I think that if the guy, specifically speaking to the guy who hasn't done that, it would just be, just give it a go, man. Give it a go, see how you feel. Trust your intuition. Don't have expectations. Walk into that space knowing that as you walk out, you're going to know the answers, but don't try and think about it. Just see how you feel.
Yeah, bro. It's such a powerful space. I think men need men, right? Mm-hmm. I play with this too. Like, men need men and women need women. Mm-hmm. And then also men need women and women need men. It's this thing that I feel like that gets lost a lot in the messaging, because like men, women. But actually it goes both ways. And that's what I love about the way that you show up and your message, and how you actually show the value in having a woman like your fiance, how like you really build that up and show that journey has been so expansive to you. And like, I've watched something the other day where it was talking about, the guy was speaking to men, and he was saying that, hey, like when you're on this self-development journey, like the man that you are today, you're going to attract a woman like on your same level, right? So he's like, why are you even getting in a relationship now? Because in 6 months' time, you're going to be a different level of a man, like more caliber, better looking, more healthy, fitness is a different level, finances have grown. So he's like, what? Like, why are you getting in a relationship now? Why are you even caring about that? But I perceive that as actually a really like unhealthy way to look at it, because what I've learned throughout my journey, the relationships I've been in, I've learned more than any But I've paid coaches tens of thousands of pounds, but my relationships, that's been the greatest teacher, the greatest coach, you know? And so that thing about, right, I'm going to wait and wait and wait, I think actually creates quite like a toxic culture, because who's
I
not to
completely
say
agree.
that both parties are going to grow together. Like that's the goal, right?
I completely agree. And I think, and I see this in the brotherhood, I will get the woman when. But that is basically a worthiness. I will believe I'm worthy of the woman I want to attract when. The condition, when I hit 50K months, when I hit 100K months, that's when I'm the man I need to be to call her in. I believe that you and I, obviously we both got amazing relationships. And do you know what's interesting? The night that my partner appeared in my life was the pinnacle of 3 years of commitment, of hard work, investment, 40 grand. It was, I just got to Bali after 3 years. I'd been doing the work and I just made my first £10,000 month. And I just run a workshop on how to turn your passion into your profession. And I was my most radiant because I was like, I fucking knew I was this person. I've spoken it into reality. I've told the world. I've had people laugh at me. I've had people judge me. I've been misunderstood. I've been rejected. I've had all of the things happen to me, and I've stayed committed. And I am the man who I knew I was. And then that night, bang, she came in.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like a spotlight, and I was like, whoa, who is this sexy Russian woman? And we just kid it off. But I was in my power. I was in my most radiance because I had so much fucking evidence of who I fucking say I am. Because there would have been a time that we would have met. I wouldn't have felt the courage to even speak.
Yeah.
So I think there's warrant evidence, or I understand what that guy's trying to say, but I think that speaks to people very early on in their journey. And I think that there is times of solitude, there is times of commitment, there is times of doing the work. But I strongly believe that, obviously my condition was like, I can't get a partner until I'm in Bali. Because my idea was it would cost that. A relationship would cost that. So I just rejected it from my life. So my lived experience is like, I'm very clear on my goal and my mission. Unless they fully align to that, they're not the right fit, and I'm not going to waste my time on it. So, and one of the things that I get reflected back at me was that when we did meet, I was like, I'm here building my business. I'm only available these times. I'm not like fully available because I need this. I'm here, I'm focused, I'm building something. And that was the thing that attracted her when she was like, wow, this guy's building something. I'm like, yeah, I am. I've got a fucking mission. I'm doing the thing. But I think that if you're a listener, you being fully open to the idea that the right woman will find you at the right time, but you have to be open energetically to that without these self-imposed conditions of I am not good enough, or I'm not worthy of the type of woman or caliber of woman I'm looking for until X, I think is a trap. And I strongly believe that if you are someone who's doing the work, you're showing up, you have your mission, you're taking care of yourself, you're committed to your work, you have integrity to your word, you're doing what you say you're going to do, and you have cultivated that level of inner worth, that inner confidence, that you are who you say you are, and there's no gaps in your psychology because we can't avoid them. Absolutely, 100%. I think be absolutely willing, but I think you have to get to that point of becoming that version of yourself to attract the type of woman that you want to attract. Example of, I am the king, what do I want? And listing out the version of me, what's my dream woman look like? What's her character? I wrote mine down. You did as well, didn't you?
Yeah. I did it because I really resonate, bro, with what you're sharing.
It's like characteristics. What are the things you don't want? It was like bitchiness. I don't want her to be a bitch. Do you know what I mean? It's like there were small things, like all your personal preferences. So you actually know, and like your lens, your reticular activating system, you want to go into psychology. It's like, oh, boom, that's a match of what I want. Yeah. Mine was a blonde spiritual yogi. So my mate in the in David Lloyd's gym in the swim pool. I was like, I'm gonna go to Bali and find myself a blonde spiritual yogi. And that's exactly what she is. I was like, oh my God, wow. And then I actually got to know her and I was like, wow, she's the most fascinating woman I've ever met. But I was 3 years on my journey and she was 3 years into her journey.
Yeah.
So I think you have to get your equal and opposite of the person that's doing the work.
Yeah.
You can't meet someone. Obviously, you're a prime example, right? As well, like the women in our life are more committed to their personal growth than we are.
Oh,
to some extent. I get goosebumps saying that, and it's like,
and with Bonnie, like she was doing the same thing at the same time, and like as what I was doing. So I was like writing down, right, what exactly do I want? What exactly do I not want? Who do I need to be in order to attract and maintain like that caliber of relationship?
Yeah,
she was doing exactly the same thing, yet we hadn't even met.
But that's why, boom.
And then bang, yeah.
I was there when you met, wasn't I?
Yeah, Cafe Coach.
Yeah. So it's like,
yeah.
But that's the work. That's the intention. That's the commitment to finding that and the commitment to not settling.
Yes.
It's a big one.
And experience too. Like this, and this is the thing with a relationship, because from previous experience, I then learned like one, what were my patterns that were showing up? And also what was I willing to not tolerate again?
Yeah.
And for me as a man, that was like to lay out those foundations. I feel like it's given a lot of safety because I'm like, hey, like this is what I stand for in a relationship. Like these are the foundations. We've got like respect, trust, open communication, honesty. Like these are like the foundations. And if there's cracks in the foundations, like this isn't going to build long-term. And we're only in this for a long-term relationship, you know, so we can build off this, have a family and all that stuff. Like that's what we're building towards. So like the foundation needs to be solid, like building a house.
And that's like the ultimate expression of self-love, right? You can't give, like one of the biggest decision you can ever make is who you spend your life with, because you're giving them love, your attention, your presence, your time. You're committing so much of the only resources you really have, the only scarce resources that you actually have, to one specific person. And I think that if you're going into relationships without those boundaries, without that clarity, you're just doing yourself a disservice and you're fucking about wasting time. And I think that's such a great piece of advice, obviously, for us both. We're going into that, like really intentionally creating, like, who do I want? What do they need? Who do I need to be? Because then it shifts the focus on chasing versus like, let me become. What does that look like? I need to get up early. I need to go to the gym. I need to work on my business. I need to make money. I need to cultivate self-love. I need to cultivate trust. I need to stick to my word. I need to have integrity. And then that shift of like the becoming process is you just becoming that as your core focus will bring them in. Whether it takes a month, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, or 2 years, you're building your process and you're building yourself in the process to attract her in. And I think that's the beautiful thing, because they have to perceive you as the king.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to be perceived in their world. Oh, wow, this is a man who's of high value, that will provide for me, that I can bring children into the world in. Because that's how they fucking think, mate. They think so much deeper than men. But then do you embody the character traits of this man who I perceive is the future father of my kids? Yes or no? Yes, great. No, I'll go find someone that does.
Yeah. Yeah. So powerful, bro.
Interesting, man, isn't it?
Yeah. And like from the Brotherhood running like every single week, it's tons of men in, without going into any personal stories and stuff, because I know it's like a safe space there. Yep. But what would you say are the main trends that you see in men that are holding them back?
So every single man, I mean, it's funny, right? 2 things. And I use this as an example of the belief that being a lone wolf is going to get them where they want to be. Men need men. Being a lone wolf is the biggest trap that we can fall into. I've fallen into it for a long time. And I think there's definitely seasons of solitude and seasons of self-discovery and alone. Being alone is different to being lonely. Having that space to do the work, to cultivate the skill sets, to become the person, because you need to cut ties from people that don't do that. But then it gets to a point when then you lack that male brotherhood, which I think is the key thing. And I think men having that immediately and feeling that safety and feeling that connection of like, oh, we're exactly the same. We've got the same values. You're working just as hard as me. We've got similar interests. I'm talking about the things I'm passionate about. I think is a big thing to find that, because especially in Bali, a lot of people are online entrepreneurs, right? So we all have to cultivate a specific skill set to be in Bali, to be online, to have the business, to be here. So there's very similar journeys that we've been on by nature of being in Bali specifically. I think the other thing is that if I ask the question, who has something they need to do but are not doing right now, raise your hand, every single man in the hands room raises. We all have the thing. We all kick the can down the road. And what I believe that is, and it's something that I am very learning the same lesson over and over and over again, how much do I trust myself? Do I trust that I will be able to hold that? If I do it and it works, can I hold it? Or would getting it and then losing it be more painful than never having it in the first place? It's fear of success. It's like mixed up with fear of failure. But I think the pain of loss that most people can perceive of having a thing because they are not worthy or not good enough or not enough perpetuates in that. And there's always the big thing that we've got to do. It's all like present for me, present for you. And we sabotage ourselves out of a lack of deep levels of trust. And I think also, as I'm saying that, faith is a really important one. Because one of my mentors once gave me like a roadmap. I was like, right, most people think, right, you're here A to B. This is the thing. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, yeah? I was like, well, not really. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last part is faith. Because if you're saying that you know exactly how everything's going to work over that period of time, you are putting all of the pressure on yourself. You have to be the one that figures all of that out. Versus if you can release control of yourself, release part of that responsibility and give that up to some kind of faith of some kind, some creator, God, whatever you call it, that you are protected, you are supported, that the thing that you want most, the thing that you desire is already yours and you can have it if you lean in and do the work consistently and trust that you can hold it and trust that however that transpires is going to be what's right for you. If we go back to start the conversation around the obstacle is the way, doesn't matter what's in the way, it's going to be for you anyway. So even though there might be fear, if you can lean into faith, that you're supported, if you can lean into courage to do the work, and you can cultivate deep levels of trust that when you need to know what you need to know, the answers will arrive, not trying to overthink and know all the things now, because that's futile. Just trust yourself that in the moment, your intuition, you'll be able to drop in and figure it out. Things go wrong, fuck, okay, boom, it's okay because I can figure it out. That mindset, I think, approach and perspective would be way easier for most guys to actually tackle that. But again, it requires courage, man. And I think that there's a lot of courageous guys in there, but there's always deeper levels. And I think that if you are a purpose-driven human being, you have a mission, and whatever that is, the thing that you are going to be consistently challenged with and consistently invited into is your level of commitment to that thing. And I spoke to a client recently, and she's a self-love coach. And I asked a question, it was on a sales call. Okay, so do you only love yourself when you can afford to love yourself? So the condition of that self-love is that, money dictates how much I love myself. And I think that's a really interesting example about how all of these things of like, I will love myself or honor myself to this degree, but then there's a condition there which allows me to actually do what I want, which is ultimately not true. And it ultimately comes back to the start of like, how much do you trust yourself? How much do you love yourself? How much do you feel worthy of your goals? And how much can you fully commit to that and trust that whatever the fuck happens, you're going to come out the other side as a stronger, more capable, with bigger capacity through that journey. And then not being so associated with failure, I think.
Yeah, so true. Like that's like constant work it's constant work, which I'm doing as well. It's just being safe with yourself, with your own nervous system that, hey, whatever chaos is going on externally, I've got you. I've got you, bro. Like, we're fine. Like, no matter what happens outside. And that's just ongoing work, right? To be in that place where you're like, hey, like, we're okay. Yeah.
And that's the work at the minute. That's my work now. And again, like, I'm not saying this as I've got it all figured out. I'm saying that exactly that. It's work. Because the capacity of what you're trying to hold, when you hit that stretch, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be good. Sweet. I consolidate. This is everything going well. And I'm going to push. I'm going to push. I'm going to push. And then it's going to meet a barrier. And it's like, fuck, this is hard. This is heavy. There's chaos right now. Am I going to be able to cultivate the trust to move through that? Or am I going to crumble and self-sabotage and implode and then have to go there again and move outwards? And even, it's funny like that, because around like, I'm doing some inner child work now. Because as you're saying that, what I'm seeing in that is you speaking to little Sam.
Yeah.
You're okay, mate. It's all good, bro. I've got you. And like a reparenting process. And it's good for me to reflect that because you embody it, which is beautiful to see. Even how you open this was a beautiful way to open it, of like being the conscious awareness, being grounded and safe in your body so you can speak your truth and express yourself and be who you need to be. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, like to give that gift to yourself and to others, right? It's like as a man being present in a relationship or in business, it's like the more grounded we can be, which again is it's daily practice. It's like for me, if I'm speaking to yourself, like speaking to your nervous system, speaking to yourself, hey, we're okay. We're okay, we got this. But yeah, that is like when we say the work, like it's part of the work. It's like I used to do a lot of mindset work. So things were just all focused around the mind. But things didn't really shift for me until I started to work more with the body and my nervous system, doing things like breath work, journeys, and actually like speaking to my system. Because I realized that, hang on, I'm doing all this work here in my mind. And I was starting to, but it was like constant work. Whereas like the second I started to release stuff in my body, I was like, I just feel like almost like an armor had just been like taken off, or like a weight belt, which was like on my shoulders. And just like, I can take the weight off. It's just released.
It's such powerful work, man. Like, and I think that's the beauty of, I think it's a journey as well, right? I think we go through the journey of like personal development and then mindset work, and then realize, we can do our habits and we can change our life. We can do the growth mindset, fixed mindset. Oh my God, we can change our psychology. We can neuroplasticity, we can change, which is great. And then it gets to a point. And the mental work is still important. The rewiring process is still important.
Yeah. But
one of the really interesting kind of comments I heard by a guy called Alex Sharfen, who's like Alex Hormozi's coach. And he's like, obviously, there's sometimes you can receive things from certain people, right? And other times you might hear it from them and like, fuck off, mate. Like, I don't, on a unconscious level, I don't trust you enough based on whatever that is.
Yeah.
He's generationally wealthy. His kids are generationally wealthy. And on a workshop recording, he was like, your issues are in your tissues. For you to go to 8 figures and go to all of these big numbers that he helps people with, the number one thing you have to realize is that your trauma is the thing that's stopping you from going to that next level. Because ultimately, you don't feel safe enough at that level, which is the trust thing, isn't it? That next level for you, the next income bracket, the next team member, the next speaking gig, that next level of your transformation is your nervous system saying, I am not safe there. So I will keep you here because this is where I'm safe. And that cannot be done mentally. It has to be done. There's like issues are in the tissues.
Powerful that. Issues are in the tissues.
Issues are in the tissues. You can't think your way out of that. You have to release it from your body. And that's a fucking like bit of a crazy realization when you first hear it. It's like, wow, that's so interesting. But ultimately, it's beautiful because you then have a roadmap to great levels of transformation. You're not stuck in hitting this fucking barrier. And I really believe recently, I don't think we hit blocks. I don't think it's a force against us. I think it's an anchor. I think we're anchored in this. So like we're running and running and running, and we need to cut the anchor, not break the wall down. I think that force push energy is, it works for a while and you feel that because it feels like you're breaking things down. But I think that you can't run anymore. You can't move any faster. You can't put more things into the thing. You just have to release the weight off the back and out so you can just move faster, move with more flow, move with less resistance, move with less chaos. And I think that's the goal.
So powerful. Yeah. I'm seeing in my mind like the picture of, was I driving a car? but then you've got the handbrake on.
Yeah.
But you're like just pushing your foot on the accelerator, like, let's go. And you're going at like 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's
literally.
on. And you're just like, and then someone goes, hey mate, you just need to like actually just take the handbrake off.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
wow, that happened quick.
Yeah.
And it does happen. Like things collapse. Time collapses when you do that.
Yeah. And I'm so curious because this kind of ties into the freedom concept, because that's a big part of your movement and your brand. And how, for freedom for you, how's that shifted over time?
Oh, so I think to bring this into like kind of seasons, there's like freedom from, freedom to, and then what freedom actually is. And then I think as a recruitment consultant in Sydney, in the rat race, listening to podcasts, listening to books around like how to find your dream job and looking online and being envious and jealous. And I was like, fuck, man, I just want to be free. I remember writing down on a piece of paper, I want to help people and I want to be able to travel the world. I was like, I'm such a simple man. And then like 2 weeks later, I realized I want to be a coach. And that kind of really like led me into the journey I'm in now. But it was around what my core driver was, even though that was in my awareness and my journey, what my real core driver at the time was like, I don't want to fucking go get a train to work, mate. I don't want to have to work for someone I don't want to work with. I want to have my own time back. Because I was really conscious of time. And the Stoic phrase memento mori was like being a big thing for me around remember death. It's like, fuck, we don't have a lot of time. I don't want to spend my time going to a fucking job I hate. So the first thing I need to do is get out of that. So get away from it, freedom away, freedom from a job. What's the answer? Online business. So I'd done that. Cool. 3 years of work got me there. And then the last 2 years, or the year after that was like, right, now, 18 months after that, now I've got the freedom, but now I don't feel free at all because I'm working 12 hours a day, I'm hustling and I'm not present with my partner. I'm traveling, but I'm working in little pockets and then being a bit of time free and then not even being there because I'm thinking about work or worrying about money. And then I've had all of these amazing experiences, but I'm not even present there. I can think about them. I can remember the problem I was trying to think about business, but I can't remember the site I was looking at. And then I'm like, well, hang on a second. Like, this isn't what I started my business for in the first place. So then it's really shifted around, well, two things. There's in that process, and what I was doing at the time as well, was that I was showing up as a version of myself who I believed I needed to be, not who I actually was. And I was wearing a mask. I was showing up in the world as the version of Ryan who he believes he needs to be in order to be loved, accepted, and make the money he wants. And ultimately, I was facing chaos. So to answer your question now, to flip that, and the lessons I've learned over the last year, 9 months is around like, and this was when I've done ayahuasca as well. And I asked the question, what does freedom mean to me? And it came to me like that. And there was expression. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. And how I understood that at the time in that season was, cool, I get that. You express yourself through business. You get your freedom by utilizing your skills and expertise and pain and purpose and expressing that through business as a creative pursuit, right? What you're doing now is you as a human being express through a business model. Coaching is a great model for that. That's why I love it, right? And I was like, cool. Then that moved into Freedom Creator Academy. I was like, oh, cool. A year later, I was like, oh my God, I understand. Freedom Creator, you create your freedom by solving the world's problems through products and services that are born from your experience. You can speak with authentically and you can express yourself through that. And then recently I've had another awareness of like, oh shit. Because I was looking at the Brotherhood, like, what do I actually do there? Why is there magic in this space? I was like, oh, I missed the part before that. Of like, you have to authentically express yourself from your core within yourself as a human being first. Then you express that through business. Because if you're not expressing yourself authentically at your core, but you're trying to build a business from that place, it's not an authentic place. It's a wounded place. It's a masked place. It's I need to build this because I think that's going to work versus, is this my truth? So freedom to me now is number one, being able to fully love and accept yourself and express yourself as you are, free from shames, guilt, resentments, insecurities, trusting that you are enough as you are. The people in your life, like those that matter don't mind and those that mind don't matter, right? So you are going to be more magnetic and more attractive to the people that actually belong in your world when you can truly speak your truth and act from a place of authenticity, grounded in self-love and self-worth. Number one, that's freedom, inner freedom, knowing that you don't have triggers, or like you have the triggers, you have the tools. Peter Crone says this: life will give you people and circumstances to show you where you are not free. So if you're walking around hot-headed, triggered, frustrated, driving around Canggu, getting pissed off because of the drivers, ultimately that's not freedom, because your nervous system's fucked and you're being triggered and unconsciously falling into patterns. So the first part is that, learning how to cultivate that inner sense of safety and security within yourself so you can express yourself and move through life without being triggered. Have the tools so when you're there, manage them. But the goal is to be someone who isn't triggered, not just manage them. And then the second part of that is to then build the financial freedom through business and entrepreneurship, through your authentic expression, so you can have deeply meaningful work that feels aligned, that feels fun, that feels in flow, that actually allows you to create the space and time to do the things you want without feeling guilt, without feeling this hustle mentality, which I'm working on, to provide the safety and financial stability for your family, but then the financial abundance to experience all of the things that you want to experience within your family, within whatever your soul's desires of luxuries. If you want to go on a yacht, fucking you can buy a yacht, whatever it is, no judgment, but honoring those desires and doing that through meaningful, impactful work that creates a positive ripple effect in the world.
That's beautifully communicated. Yeah. And what I'm hearing there is the shift kind of moved from before of like a external freedom, which then leaving something to the external is just you literally giving your power away, to like this shift of, oh, actually I cultivate this freedom inside of myself. So it's an internal freedom. Yet still, when you've got internal freedom, you're going to create an external freedom, which is more in alignment to your authentic expression.
100%, and that's it. And you're not going to get pulled off.
So what did you have to leave behind to step into an even deeper level of authentic expression?
Very good question. I had to let go of the idea of, number one, in my relationship, of being absolutely okay of being alone. One of the things that we have in our relationship, we had made rings, and it's like we put them on top. It's a heart. It says R&D, but then it says "I love loving you," and that's our expression of conscious love. So that I love you right now, but I may wake up tomorrow and not love you, and you have to be okay with that, because we can't promise each other we're going to love each other forever. That's fantasy, but we can honor the love we've got, but knowing that my fully loved version chooses you right now, not I choose you above myself. And ultimately that, within my relationship as a unit, allows us to be so grateful every day of the relationship we have and the love that we have, because we also realize that it might not always be there. So it's more precious in that way. So can I be alone with doing the things and actually accepting maybe I'll be alone one day? Can I still love myself at that point? Because that's this like, oh no, shit, fuck. I'll grasp onto it and clutch it with all my hands. That one. And also the idea that within business and purpose, it's that there may be one day that I will want to burn everything down as well. And that's okay. That this attachment to and this is like the identity, and this is what, again, I'm working on right now, is like my identity as a coach, my identity as a business coach, my identity as all of these things. Can I be okay with honoring them as they are now, but also being willing to let it go if I feel like that? And just trying to really detach and let go of the labels and stories and identities and all of the things that I've kind of prided myself on.
What have you found beyond that? Like who are you beyond the labels of the coach, the brotherhood man, who are you beyond all that?
Very good question, man. I am someone who just wants to build a family and know that I can wake up every day and know that I'm doing my duty to the people that I love and for the responsibilities I have, the people that I love, and living my life without regret. and really like squeezing a lemon of my own potential. I think a big part of that, like there's a saying, isn't there, around my idea of hell is meeting the version or the person I could have been at the gates of heaven or something like that, around like just leaving things. I don't want to leave anything on the table, man. I really want to give it all because I'm so conscious of time and how lucky we are to actually be here and experience this. And that drives me more than anything. Getting to the end, but I don't regret anything, but the things I have created is safety, love, and healed my family so they can then experience what their gift of being here is as well.
Felt that, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's a good question, man.
All right, bro. Well, we're at that part. Thanks so much for, sharing your wisdom, your gifts, and being like just true and vulnerable too, bro. It's like, it's a gift that you can give to others, right? When I feel like when you're sharing this stuff, it's like resonates because it's not spoken about all of the time, So when someone then listens, it's like, oh, actually, this is exactly what I'm going through. Oh, this is the same thought processes. So it's a real gift to give people that so they feel seen.
I think the big thing for that, and it was compassion. I really had to cultivate compassion because I know that every single thing I've ever done has been on pure intention, but it hasn't always happened like that. And ultimately within myself, like if I'm compassionate to myself and I don't judge myself, then therefore I cannot be compassionate to others. But I can't be compassionate to others unless I cultivate that myself. Therefore, I don't judge as much as I possibly could. And I think that's what the brotherhood is, because it's like, whatever you're doing, whatever you've done, it's okay, because you're only trying to do the best with what you've got. That's what we're doing. We're all human beings. We're all walking around trying to do our best with the tools we have available, with the baggage that we've got, with the traumas we've got, with the intentions that we carry. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. Yes, that was once shared with me that's very similar, where someone shared, they were like, hey, everyone's on their own journey and they're trying their best. Everyone's on their own journey and they're trying their best.
It's like,
yeah,
I wouldn't do that if I was them. I was like, hang on, you would do exactly what they would do because you would be them. You'd have all the trauma, you'd have all the emotions, you'd have all the failures, and all of the things. So you would do exactly what they're doing. So you saying, if I was them, I would do this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Because you haven't had all their lived experience. You don't have their unconscious programs. You don't have their wiring. You don't have their brain chemistry. You don't have the traumas and all the things that happen to him. So for us to stand here and judge, I would do that differently, is bullshit. Because you're never going to fucking know, because you're not that person. Which is pride as well. So yeah, I just think it's cool, man.
Yeah, fascinating, isn't it? So many.
We could talk for hours,
we
mate.
could just keep going, bro. Like the onion. There's so many layers to the onion.
100%.
All right, bro. We're at that point where we'll get the vault out.
Yeah, man.
And with the vault, there's mystery messages in there. So 10 mystery messages.
Yep.
And then also each guest leaves a message.
Yep.
And then that message may be chosen by the next guest, or in 10 episodes time, 20 episodes time.
Love it, man.
So let's see.
Right, okay. You are nature. Where in your life do you know at a deep level the truth? Ooh. Interesting that at the core of everything is love. I got to experience that when I done ayahuasca. And I truly got to experience that love. And it's so funny, isn't it? Because the message is everywhere, like love is the answer, but every single thing comes back to love. And I know that at deep, deep level and a deep truth for me, that all we're ever trying to do is come back to love. And every expression, every answer, like what we just said, all people are trying to do on a deeply unconscious level, on a deeply spiritual level, we are only trying to do the best with what we've got to express love in the way that we know how to. And how we express love is deeply individual. How I express love is through my business. It's through freedom, because it's my value. How I express love is helping people build a business that provides for their family. How you express love is how you express love within yourself and express love externally through your own transformation and the support and service that you give. Other people's is, and this was from one of the brothers, Rue. Some people show love through discipline, and they provide discipline for the world. Some people throw love through self-care and their fitness, and they give that to the world. So we're all expressing our unique expression of love to come back to that place through others and through service. And yeah, I know that to be true on a very deep level, man. And I've viscerally felt it. I've melted into that before. So that's a really cool question, man.
Yeah, man, that's epic. And yeah, I feel like that's the truth, right? When we're coming back, it's like we go on this whole journey, base of remembering of who are we at our core, like going back to that question, who are we beyond our labels and our identity? Really, it's just this pure love.
Absolutely, 100%.
Which in an experience like ayahuasca, you just melt away from the physical and you're like, whoa.
I get it now.
Yeah.
I understand it now. And again, it's a very experiential thing, right? Again, your nervous system has to feel that for it to be true. You can listen to this and be like, I'm not too sure about that, which I would totally agree with and resonate with and honor that, because it's not a lived experience that people might not have had watching this or listening to this podcast. But the signs are everywhere. The songs that are written about it, the messages are written about it. Love is the answer. It's like all of that has been through the lived experience of human beings and people that have lived and experienced that, and then give that message to the world. And I think when you can tap into that, your life is never the same in the most beautiful way possible. So yeah, man. Yeah.
Amazing, brother. Well, mate, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a blessing. Yeah. It's been insightful. It's been deep. It's been transformative, which I knew it would be. And yeah, the final bit is we'll leave a note at the end, and then let's see, maybe the next episode or in a few episodes' time.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man.
Yeah.
Put that back in the vault.
Yeah, bro.
Legend, bro.
Legend.
Thank you so much, man. Pleasure.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Cheers.